Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cordumt. We are back for some more Tyranny. In the previous episode we came to meet the Graven Ash and the Voices of Nerat, the leaders of the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, respectively. And we had some stuff to loot here, which is just a whetstone. That's actually potentially interesting for me.
On it.
And subterfuge, iron walker boots, and a garnet. Okay, a garnet. We can take that. This battle report from Echo Call Crossing blames the failure of the assault on the village of the Scarlet Chorus. Apparently their scouts failed to report critical intelligence about the enemy composition. Okay. So I think now we have some people to meet outside. Yeah, this is different. I have spoken to you already, right. Sevius or Seveus. By Kairos' iron anus, it's a fire starter. And those swine things in the chorus told me you were a pile of ash. The massive soldier advances, arms spread to grapple you in an embrace. We got major favor with disfavored, okay. I can salute him. Graven Ash protects. Latching his arms around your body, Sevius lifts you into the air with his embrace. The North never forgets a friend in need. He places you back down as effortlessly as he scooped you up into the air, letting out a soft chuckle. Our little camp is overrun with these southern lepers that the Voices adopts along the way. Sevius looks out toward the brace of choirmen loitering by the edge of camp. Probably half of them were the fuckers we didn't kill the first time through this valley. Troubling thought. Graven Ash doesn't tell me everything, but I know you're a hit on official court business. Iron Marshal's running the logistics on this one. I'm just playing slave driver and making sure the patrols stay on schedule. What is it you need? I overheard you asking that Earthshaker where their reinforcements have gone. Is there a problem? I'm afraid so. Radix, the head of the Earthshakers, was supposed to arrive with a group of these most competent spellslingers to help break this stalemate. I don't know what's holding up their arrival, and that worries me. If you were at all inclined to lend a hand, we could use some arcane support on our side. Oh. Well, I am a guild apprentice. Have you checked any caches of confiscated lore? If only our work was that easy. At the Archon of War's behest, we make a bonfire of any illicit tomes or scrolls we might confiscate. At least those that don't slip through our fingers from time to time. The likelihood of finding our missing mages nestled among the stack of parchments is slim. I could lend a hand. Could you? Oh, Northern Clearing is now unlocked. I knew that Tudon's agent wouldn't fail us on a time of need. I'll mark the last known site of our Earthshaker reinforcement on your map. Good hunting, Fatebinder. Why do you think the siege has delayed for so long? Okay. It should have been over real quick and simple. The first cohort arrived in the valley and went right for the kill. But that was before we knew the Vendrian Guard had sages and that water witch on their side. A bigger problem is the Scarlet Chorus. They eagerly conscript the Vendrian Guard, but I have no proof of this, but it seems they do very little to keep a watchful eye on those drafted Tearsmen. They are often sent out on patrol and we suspect they use that opportunity to escape back to the Vendrian Guard. I would do the same thing, yeah. Every chorus conscript has a choice, life under Kairos or death under the army's boots. By all means, feel free to cut down those who choose the latter. We won't be offended. Just so we don't mistake each other, I know what I'm saying carries an implication of treachery. I'm not making a formal accusation before Tunon's agent, I'm just voicing my gut opinion on the matter. The two armies haven't worked well together in years. Why do you think that is? Come on, Binder. Seems like asking why beasts stink. The disfavored are only too eager to deliver Kairos' peace to the tears, while the Scarlet Chorus bring only mayhem in their wake. You can tell me the Voices of Nerat has a plan and I'll take your word for it, but the Chorus sure seems to blunder around, never moving with purpose as we do. I wonder if we've been fighting the same war, soldier. I've seen Ash yank his precious soldiers away from more battles than he's won. If you want to call that progress, be my guest. Unless we find a way to work as one, I fear the Scarlet Chorus will step in front of Graven Ash's strategies at every turn. And as far as I'm concerned, it seems like the Voices of Nerat is here to amuse himself, while the rest of us are here to do our job. About yourself? Not much to tell. My father was Sivius the Elder. His father was Sivius the First of his name. Led Drill Master of Ash's First Iron Guard back when they were the Bronze Guard. I was born into the Legion and, with any hope, I'll die in the Legion. The rest you will hopefully hear about when the storytellers immortalize me. Lore. He was in the Bronze Guard, so your family must have been with Ash since before he was with Kairos. Before he bent the knee to Kairos, Graven Ash rallied his legions against the Overlord's authority. His prowess on the battlefield ingratiated him to the Archons, who welcomed him into his ranks, or into their ranks, in exchange for his obedience. 15 experience, nice. Aye, you know your history. Sivius nods with gusto. The blood goes back that far, not the memories, as I only ever knew my father. My grandfather was just a legend. One of Ash's best warriors back before disfavored were reforged in iron. He shrugs. I'm proud of my heritage, but I try not to brag. There are folks who love the Legion every bit as much as I do, but they lack the same pedigree. The Bronze Guard. Whoops. Well, his day and age was a century ago, and they didn't have Kairos' modern luxuries like iron. So back then, the great general's inner council was known as the Bronze Guard. You should be proud of your pedigree. Sure. Thanks, but I try not to think about it too fondly. If anything, every time I screw something up, I wish I wasn't dragging the family name through mud along with me. Okay, that's kind of it. Iron Marshal Irenaeus. Don't just coddle the impact, push back with your shield, take the momentum. Iron Marshal Irenaeus, field commander of the disfavored, pounds her fist in the air as she calls out the warriors on the training field. I set eyes on your opponent's waistline. If you spend more than a glance checking his footwork, you've lost. The disfavored officer turns to you, adjusting her pale, golden surcoat as she clears her throat. Judging from her uniform, this is the Iron Marshal Irenaeus, first among equals in the Iron Guard, Graven Ash's inner circle of trusted followers. Charged with being the duties of leadership, logistics and training, there is rarely a quiet day for the second in command of this favored legion. Need to stay on top of the troops or their skills will rust. It's for their own good, even if they don't believe it. It was mentioned you're short on warriors and need help. What's the situation? I have brigades amassing along Placid, Echo Call, and Little Tooth crossings. The Vendrian Guard may be able to hold one bridge, but they cannot hold against a concerted three-prong attack. I have no right to give you orders, but... Her words falter, a short cough breaking her flow. But we all die to Kairos' edict should we fail, so I'm not about to let my pride blind me to the value of good help. Okay, I will assist. Then our plan just might work. The Iron Marshal lifts her gauntlet close to her face, shifting her eyes from you to the metal articulations. We are loath to work with those who do not share our training and our values. But we know that Tunon, the Adjudicator, selects only the most capable minds of our escort, and I trust you will honor us all on the field. Antio will be leading the charge at Echo Call Crossing. Assisting you will be Barik of the Stone Shields. She points to a heavily armored soldier standing sentry at the edge of the training field. That guy over there. Before you ask, no, the Forge-bound weren't sloshed on Dappleseed when they fitted his armor. He survived the full force of the Edict of Storms, and his armor doesn't exactly come off. Oh. Tactically, it's quite brilliant, but otherwise it's something of a curse. I would say so. Tapping her helmet twice, Irenaeus signals to the hulking presence. Barik, come meet the Fatebinder. The soldier that steps up to you better resembles an amalgamation of rusted blades and mismatched pieces of armor fused into a vaguely human shape. He reeks of sweat, feces, and whatever oil treatment keeps him flexible. Yeah, if he cannot take off his armor, then he's gonna poop and pee in the armor.
Fatebinder, the Iron Marshal has tasked me with keeping you alive, and I have no intention of disappointing her. That should be enough assurance for anyone.
It's Kana! It's Kana from Pills of Eternity 1. I'm pretty sure at least. An honor.
Likewise, good Binder.
The soldier heaves a heavy iron arm into a salute, his whole body clanging as he rasps his gauntlet against the twisted sheets of metal that form his breastplate. So I'm pretty sure now he's gonna be a companion, I think.
Barik, is that you under there? I had no idea you were in Vendrian's well. Fatebinder, do you know this walking anchor?
Just a minute. You two know each other?
No. Oh, that is to say, yes. I'm already as familiar with this ironclad halfwit as I care to be.
She regards Barik with a mixed look.
We don't have time to trade jabs today, Verse. After the siege, you can throw as many tantrums as you please. I suggest that we remain focused on the mission.
No offense to the mission, but seeing you looking like a garbage heap and reeking of a mass grave is more amusing by far. Did you forget how to don your armor, or did Graven Ash leave you out in the rain?
Barik sighs, a frustrated growl shaking his iron enclosure of a suit. I don't believe we've been acquainted.
It's challenging enough to experience battle from a courtroom, much less remember the faces of your cohorts. I wouldn't expect you to know me under these accursed blades of rust.
He bangs on his malformed chest armor for emphasis. The Fatebinder will be joining us for the push across the river. I figured an extra hand might help. And more importantly, if my worries come true and the chorus tries to impede the mission, we will have an observer from the court on our side.
Better to work with the Honorable Binder than some chorus children.
He also doesn't like them. He nods to you, his armor creaking as he bends his neck. I asked that Barik accompany you there to arbitrate the cooperation between his company and the Scarlet Chorus. Echo Call Crossing now unlocked. Barik, you've been without a cohort since the last Battle of Stalwart. It's time we gave you a task more worthy than hauling wagons and leading training drills. She plants her hands on her hips and speaks in clipped official terms. Hash has assigned you to the Fatebinder's service. You are to assume this task is ongoing until we find a more permanent spot for you, which could very well mean the swiftly approaching end of this war, or when the Fatebinder dismisses you. Is that understood? We've gained loyalty with Barik, okay. I suppose I could be in worse company than that of a renowned mage slayer. I have seen how this one treats any upstart who fails to recognize the benefits of Kairos' peace, though I would much rather attend to my duties here. That is, unless you're serious about my change of assignment, Iron Marshal. Conquest Decision. While most of the mages of the tiers were slow to contend with Kairos' armies, the pyromancers of the School of Wild Wrath were all too eager to join the fight. Far more dangerous than the average tiersman levy, these fire mages become the focus of a joint disfavored and Scarlet Chorus assault. With the two armies unable to agree on a strategy, you use your authority as reigning Fatebinder to execute the disfavored's plan. Use the mage's predictable lust for a fight, and use overwhelming force to crush them. The plan was a success, and the School of Wild Wrath was all but shattered in one battle. While the majority of the mages were slain, a handful were given to the Voices of Nerat. A few of the elders in the Blood Chanters Guild are these Wild Wrath mages who survived and accepted fealty to Nerat. Okay, so that's why we got loyalty, I think. That's an order, Barik. She shakes her head and sighs, returning her focus to you. He can be as stubborn as pulling a spire out of the earth, but he's a good soldier. I hope you don't mind the company. Okay, so I'm honored to have a member of the Iron Legion at my side. We get loyalty and favor. I'm honored to have Kana by my side. Excellent. I look forward to your success in the field. Okay, so now we have him. So I think I can do this. Like, put the more sturdy characters in front and then the others in the back. I'm guessing you're a fighter. Well, there are no fighter classes here, but he's chunky, isn't he? He is chunky. So, let's see here. Some HP, 0 precision. Your accuracy is horrible. Your recovery is horrible. Your damage is super low. And your defenses are kind of low also. 10 armor, okay. 15 versus piercing and 15 versus frost. He comes in with his favorite iron sword, just a pretty standard sword, I think. And his favorite shield. More recovery, more parry, more dodge, more endurance. Alright. And how do you work? I have points for you. Ah, okay. Before I forget, I guess. Let me take this off. Take that off. I'm almost certain he's gonna be playing with a shield. if I want like a strong, sturdy front line. One-handed weapons 29, 30 on two-handed as well. Okay, so he will either go for this or that, not dual wield, so I'm gonna take that off. And also not bows. Okay, so all this is off. I'm gonna leave everything but subterfuge, because I might want to cast some spells on him. Maybe. Okay, before I put points here, what we have? He can be a Punisher or he can be a Sentinel, so I'm guessing offensive and defensive. We also have 1 point here. Striking Iron. Strike a single enemy, dealing significantly increased damage if the target is engaging Barik. Okay. Chance to attack enemies as they engage you. That's actually pretty cool. Intimidating force on the battlefield. Enemies needed by Barik have their resolve reduced. Also very good. Weapon damage. Okay. Damage. A multi-hit attack that dazes, stuns, and sunders. If he's in the party, everybody gains bonus experience for okay. It might matter for her. Legs of Iron. Root in place, immune to push and prone, and large boost to endurance, the cost of ability to move. I would think this would be something on this side. Increased chance of Barik's engagement attacks to occur. Okay. Once per combat, when his health is critical, he gains a bonus to might and resolve until the combat ends. For each enemy engaging, Barik gains a bonus to any damage he deals. How many can you engage? Because I think by default it's only 1. Oh, engaging him. Never mind. Greatly increases damage. Further increases the chance of attacks. When he would be defeated, he delays unconsciousness. So kind of like last 10. It's called last 10, okay. When a hostile effect expires on Barik, he gains bonus to endurance, will, and magic defenses. Dealing damage to all enemies nearby, this damage increases for each enemy engaging Barik. Okay. So he starts with this, I think. Yeah, he has 1 point. Clash of Iron. Issue a mocking invitation challenging enemies to attack Barik. Okay, so it's like a taunt. I like that. Start of combat, he gains a large bonus to movement speed for a short time. To engage, I would say. After using Clash of Iron, Barik will attack twice with his normal strikes for a short time. Okay. That's very good. Also very good. For tanking purposes, obviously. Bolsters the strength of his nearby allies, granting them a bonus to armor. Barik and nearby party members take reduced damage. That's very good. Defensive weapons or shields. Man, he has a lot of very good stuff. I think I'm gonna go for here first. I also like a lot of this side as well, but I'm gonna start with this one. So, if you will be my front line, I'm guessing Resolve is your most important one, right? Results endure physical mental challenges. Resolve the primary service with It does not affect deflection, I think. 0 deflection? Wow. Okay. I guess I'll put 1 here. He's getting a buff from something. Oh yeah, the Edict of Execution. Right. Yeah, so he gets defenses here. Okay, sure. I'll do that. And that's kind of it for him. I can give him spells, maybe. Yeah. This would add, okay, yeah, so just take that one. And also take game. Take that. Okay. What else do you have? Iron Tolling. Combo ability. Myself and Barik. We bang on their shields and armor harassing an enemy. The target is compelled to attack Barik for a short time while the Fatebinder's mocking gestures leave the enemy confused and off guard. The foe loses all ability to parry and dodge until they recover their senses. Interesting. 1 per encounter. Okay. No AI for you, except attacking. Why are you still glowing? Why is he glowing? Did I miss something? No. Okay, I don't know why.
I live for the Vanguard!
I don't know why this is shining. But, okay. So, in terms of gear, what do I have for him? I might have some stuff for you. We have a Phalanx, which has more range. What is Guarded Strikes? On weapon crit, allied AoE, more parry. Okay, so if I'm using something like U on melee, it would be useful. This is slashing and piercing. This is only piercing. Does more damage. It's fine quality. Guarded strikes versus nothing. I'll leave it to him. Sure. We also have a javelin, which is, I think, just worse. Although I have more accuracy with it. We have the Falx, which gives me more accuracy, more damage. No armor pen, less range, less recovery. Can I take off your boots? I can't even take off his armor. But his armor is kind of sucky. I am concerned about this. And this is a Tier 4 Bronze Great Spear, two-handed. You can have it there. Okay, so let's leave it like that for now. And since I have more of a front line now, I'm gonna take this off. And I'm gonna put this back on, because it gives me a lot more recovery. Do you want this? I think you want this. Because you get the Opportunist, which is cool. Yeah, you take that. Okay.
Affirmative.
It's all in the reflexes.
Heavy Bronze Chorus. Okay. So now what we have to do. Forge-bound iron. Explore Echo Call Crossing for clues of the missing shipment of iron. And the reinforcements. Go to the northern clearing. Okay. Speak with the Fifth Eye at the Scarlet Chorus camp. This is... okay, later. Okay. So I think I want to go for these here first. Northern clearing or Echo Call Crossing. I'm thinking about northern clearing first. And see how that goes. In terms of formation, I would want... like this, perhaps? We'll see. Can I... oh, I can buy stuff from you. I don't have any money, though. Courage. Immune to frightened and terrified. That's cool. Oh. Alter a target's armor. Right now, it's a little bit too expensive, I think. Yeah, it's a little bit too expensive yet. Later, I'll get it. Okay. Let's quick save. Because I do not know where I'm going. Oh. Okay, might as well go here first then. Because it's along the way. Your path is blocked by a small group of Vendrian guard. You can go no farther until you deal with them. Ambush. Lovely. I don't like ambushes. Oh, but this looks scripted.
That's far enough, Fatebinder.
Ebb. Vendrian guard, I'm guessing? Maybe not. A woman's voice booms from atop a nearby outcropping. Flashes of aquamarine body paint peek out from under her loose-fitting traveler's garb, and her outfit is festooned in braids and knots of sailor's line. The body paint, braided ornaments, and stylized staff mark this woman as a Tidecaster, one of the southern mage schools you encountered in 429 TR. During the first campaign in Vendrian's Well, the School of Tides was once a powerful sect of mages with mastery over water and command of the moon's arcane light. The majority of the elders of the school fled in 426, fearing Kairos' coming conquest, and of the few that remained, nearly all were slain or imprisoned by the voices of Nerat. Flanked on either side by warriors dressed in Vendrian Guard regalia, the woman leans on an elaborate bladed staff pulsing with arcane energy. A swath of blue fabric rests draped over her arm. The blue flag is a symbol of diplomacy and truce recognized across most of the known world, and it is a custom the Tearsmen hold dear. To harm another person under the auspices of a blue flag is a grave offense, in both the Tears and in Kairos' empire. The customary punishment is death. Okay, so basically she comes to parlay.
Did the voices of Nerat send you to gather my head and complete his collection? If so, we'll have to save our tussle for another time. Today I have business. Vengeance can wait.
We gained very major fear. Recognize this woman as Tidecaster Ebb, whom you met along with the other Tidecaster in the year 429 TR during the first campaign on Vendrian's Well. Meeting under a blue flag, you spoke primarily with the elders of the School of Tide. Ah, right, we did that. To negotiate their surrender to Kairos. Several of the masters were moved by your words and surrendered, but many left the meeting unwilling to bend. Ebb was among them. Okay.
You may have consigned my school to a fate worse than death, but you've done well by the Vendrian Guard. Many of them are alive today thanks to the truce you forged years back. They seem to think you have a trace of nobility in you. Here's hoping they're right.
Yep, so same thing, right? When the defenders of the campaign sued Kairos' forces for peace in 429, you negotiated the yielding of the realm, putting an end to the bloodshed, at least until fighting restarted in the early days 431. Many in Apex know you as Peacebinder, and many see you as the voice of mercy that kept the two generals from slaughtering every last Tearsman in the valley. Okay, so they actually look at me somewhat favorably.
In accordance with ancient customs north and south, I offer and request a delay of blade. There are matters we must discuss without fear of reprisal.
The woman bows deeply, lowering her head in a practiced display of etiquette. The warriors by her remain in a ready stance, their nerves clearly on edge. In accordance with ancient customs north and south, I abide by this truce.
As is our custom, we are ready to kill to defend our lands, but we kill only in fair battle. We don't slay our prisoners. We know this isn't Kairos' way, but we must have hope. A few of my kin have gone missing, and though they may have perished, I have to inquire on the off chance they still live. If Captain Tarkus Deimos still lives, we would negotiate for his release.
Ah, he died, didn't he? One of the leaders of the attack on Edgering Ruins, Tarkus Deimos, was subdued during the battle. In accordance with his favored, you ordered him executed. God damn it. I can lie to her. Huh. Ooh, we can also gain Wrath with Tunon. Barik would like that. I'll just tell her. He's dead.
I see. That is as I feared, but thank you for telling me all the same. I prefer closure to wishful thinking.
I don't know how my playthrough is gonna go, because I find myself inclined to... I'm not sure if help them, but At least try to help them.
If I may make one more inquiry, what of Palox Tyrell? Did he survive?
Though you rarely have the luxury of matching names to the countless Tearsmen you've encountered, you are reasonably certain she is asking about the Vendrian Guard warrior that took Drastus hostage at Edgering Ruins. Yeah, did not survive the encounter. He's also dead. She nods slowly, saying nothing for a long moment.
My apologies, Fatebinder. I had a terrible feeling this errand was in vain from the start. I had no expectations that our friends could be saved, as I'm sure the time for swapping prisoners is long gone. But at least I know of what became of them. That'll have to be enough.
Okay, so bow deeply. Sorry did not find what you were seeking. We get loyalty from her and average favor. We're through. Leave while you still can. I'll be polite.
Then all that remains is for me to thank you for hearing me out. In accordance with our ancient customs north and south, let us part with peaceful accord.
Dude, her voice is so familiar. Was she the narrator in PoE 1 or PoE 2 or something? She bows curtly, never letting her eyes leave yours before turning to leave. A moment later, the bodyguards turn to follow. This reminds me, I should speak with Barik. Oh, and she has something to say because it's shining, right? How did you do that? She looks at you with a quizzical expression. Do what? Back in the Archon's war tent, you cast an edict as casually as reading a supply shipment. How did you do that? Well, I've done it before. You cast the Edict of Fire on the Vellum Citadel. Yeah, we proclaimed Edict of Fire to end the siege. Yeah, we know about that. I heard about it. How Kairos' anger raised the volcano from under the Sage's own fortress. That was some impressive work. That was me, alright. Yeah. Well, call me impressed. Considering that you've read the words of Kairos more than once, I'm surprised that you're even alive to tell of it. Your vocal cord should have turned to ash by now. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. It's just worth recognizing that what you've done. Not only are you Turon's Fatebinder, you're the mouthpiece of the Overlord. Gives me plenty of reason to stick around. You're going places and I want to see where they lead. Okay. Okay. So, I guess I should also talk to him.
You look as if you have something on your mind. By all means.
This will probably be a long dialogue sequence, but we also get some experience, some loyalty and stuff from him. Placing his weapon to his side, Barik salutes you, the joints of his armor groan in protest.
What can I do for you?
I'd like to know more about you. I am the line your enemies cannot cross. All other details are meaningless, but I suspect you have some thirst for detail, so ask away. I remembered something. Okay, I remember that I could learn skills for him back in this favorite camp. Okay, I might go back for that. Okay. Did you seek the trade of war or did it find you? Both, I suppose. I knew fighting was in my blood and this favor offered me a chance to use my skills to bring peace. Otherwise, I'd have wound up some brigand or an enforcer to a crooked merchant. Barik taps his scabbard, looking away in thought. You think Ash and his legion bring peace? That's cute. But it doesn't hold water from where I'm standing, big guy. I've seen them spill as much blood as any Chorus gang. You've clearly been too busy sacking villages and stealing crops to notice how a proper army conducts a war. We sow order, not discord. Wurtz has a point that this favor could consider their approach. Barik is right, Scarlet Chorus is too chaotic to recognize order. You two are worse than Ash and the voices, stop this at once. I mean, I can get some loyalty out of Barik. I already have a lot from Verse, so I can get some fear as well. And I do agree with this, the Scarlet Chorus is too chaotic. I can see you're beginning to understand. The Chorus is a useful tool to throw at one's enemy, but it grows brittle with age, and is soon replaced. This favored needed recruits in anticipation of the march south. They offered to care for my mother and brother as long as I stayed with the Legion, which is a better guarantee than you'll find anywhere else. I was an elite fighter as far as most were concerned, though still green by disfavored standards. Luckily for everyone, my skills improved under the Iron Marshal's rigorous training. Tell me about your name. Barik is a shortening of my northern surname, which has been passed down through generations since Graven Ash assembled this army. I go by it because I wear it with pride. The proper form is Barikonen. Beyond its age and association with General's Legion, the name of Barikonen has no great titles or associations. I hold no claim to a great house or legacy, save for the disfavored. They are all the kin I need. And what's the story with your armor?
It is a symbol of Kairos' will, one that I am not likely to forget. I found this armor. Perhaps it would be better to say that it found me during the Edict of Storms.
You know what I imagine? I imagine that this armor is gonna level up with him or something. Because if you cannot take it out... And what happened during the Edict of Storms? When we heard that Kairos would proclaim the edict, we rushed into the field of battle to battle the forces of Stalwart. I was shoulder to shoulder with some of the Legion's most decorated veterans, and my pride blinded me to the danger. Our march was a hasty one. A cohort of disfavored soldiers vanished in the second year of the war, among them the daughter of Graven Ash. After a long silence, we learned that she was held in the Fortress of Sentence Stand. Go on. As we surrounded the citadel, I heard the opening peals of thunder, as did the scout I was busy trying to kill. Then the winds hit like an avalanche. Many of us begged Kairos for deliverance. What else were we to do? The winds knocked the legs of our offensive out from under us. All decorated soldiers I brought to the battle were swept up and dashed to pieces, their armor and bodies mixing with the dirt of a tornado that spun in maddening revolutions. A piece of the citadel wall broke off and nearly crushed my skull. I only remember a few scattered moments before the storm, like the flying bits of bronze and iron cutting my flesh, the severed limbs of fallen soldiers tumbling through the air. Eventually, I woke up, thinking myself trapped in the rubble. When I rose and felt like I was buckling under my own weight, that's when I realized I was stuck, right and truly stuck inside this heap of scrap. And what happened to Ash's daughter after the edict hit? She was trapped behind the walls of Sentinel Stand, imprisoned by Kairos' storm as well as the fortress itself. 1,000 soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder could not have endured those winds to rescue her. How did you survive when everyone else fell? That is a mystery to me as well. Did Kairos hear my plea for mercy? Did this heap of scrap metal protect me, imprison me, punish me? He rubs the back of his helmet with his gauntleted hand, a pantomime of a gesture his armor prohibits. I don't have enough fingers or toes to count the possible reasons, so I try to not dwell on them. You're genuinely stuck in there. Haven't you tried taking it off? I made attempts in the past, even had one of the beast haulers pull on the helmet while another pulled on my boots. The men in the phalanx have taken great pleasure in trying to find ways to liberate me. In time, I grew weary of the struggle. Sometimes I feared that removing the armor would be to question Kairos' judgment and risk a more odious curse. Do you handle your own repairs? I try to keep the surface oiled to slow the spreading rust, and I bend the plates from time to time, but repairs? Maintenance? No. If you have any ideas of how to better maintain this situation, I'm open to discussing them. Looks like pretty solid protection. That would be an understatement. If only it protected me from foolish questions. Barik regards you in such a way that you can tell he's rolling his eyes. A forlorn sigh escapes his helmet. Back to my questions about you. By all means, Finder. As with all disfavored, I assume you grew up in the Northern Empire? That's right. I grew up in Battle's Rest. Then trained at Fort Resolution before they marched me out to support the second cohort. I hope to spend my rusting years in fretted shores, unless of course I die in glorious battle, which would be preferable. My mother is good with the soil, my father with rings. He spends much of his time away on one merchant's errand or another. Still, I'm lucky to say they're both alive. Something else? As you like. Oh my god, that was only one question. Would you like to discuss removing your armor? He looks at you for a very long time, his expression as unreadable as ever.
Though we are encouraged to couple and mate within the Legion, I don't consider you one of my cohorts.
Wow.
I think I'll decline.
I wasn't talking about sex, Barik.
You weren't? Forgive me, it's been some time since anyone made an advance, and I am long out of practice, as you can see.
He knocks on his iron codpiece with a resounding clang.
Suffice it to say, my armor and I will not be separated for the time being. When the war is over, perhaps Tunon will lend me one of his forge bound. Until then, here I remain.
That's right, I guess the Forge Bound could have helped.
My armor saved me from the destruction of Stalwart, where thousands of others lost their lives. So you can see why I continue to wear it. For the time being, we will not be separated.
Are you comfortable in there? I have somehow developed enough calluses that I can sleep at night, but I wouldn't call that comfort, would you? This is my armor. It has everything it needs and more. Purpose, meaning, strength. If it were comfortable, that would only take away from its other qualities. Do you even want it removed? I would not speak of this now, Fatebinder. Please consider the topic closed. Okay, so we can force him, or we can somewhat force him. As your commander, I am concerned about the state of your uniform. Damn it. You are to be concerned. My apologies that you needed to pull rank. It was wrong of me to withhold information. I don't need to tell you that this suit of junk is a literal pain in my ass. Half broken, smelling of a midden, and perpetually jabbing my side with some Kairos be-damned caltrop. These dusty plates may not be up to standard, but they serve the disfavored well enough on the battlefield, if only to intimidate the enemy. Better for me to endure this condition than to shirk an advantage. Actually a pretty unique type of situation. Considering that I wore this as I marched across the bones of Stalwart, that was, my burden growing heavier with each step, I have no desire to leave it behind. It's a lesson, a reminder, and yes, a prison. But all of these things make it something more. These plates have something of me in them. They are as wicked as a bramble patch, as stubborn as a fortress, and hopelessly flawed. At present, removing my armor is not an option. If that ever changes, I suspect that the tears will tremble with the impact of my collapsing fortification. Whatever that will be. What's the Graven Ash think of your predicament? I suspect that he doesn't. Not to besmirch the great general, he has larger matters to consider than any one soldier's woes. His shrug sends a puff of debris clattering to the ground. How long do you think it can last? The armor hasn't shown any sign of weakening, and my maintenance regimen is all that keeps it from rusting solid. Were I to stop applying oil and give in to entropy, this shell would harden to a degree that no Forge Master has ever seen. I think it could very well stand for as long as the old walls, with my skeleton peering out from its depths. And someday, not even that. Now, isn't that a cheery thought? Tell me about what you can and can't do. I can strike fear into the hearts of our enemies and protect the shield wall with my very body. What more do I need? How do you vacate your bowels? Let us say I manage, and I manage poorly. The parts of this misbegotten thing I can reach are in better repair than the ones I can't. Well, how do you take pleasure from life? Are we actually talking about this, Fatebinder? Do you have nothing better to do than wonder about how I access my nether regions for a frenzied bout of self-interest? I don't want to hear this. How do I even run away enough to avoid it? Verse plugs her ears and winces against the inevitable. Wow. Well, I can't. And not for lack of trying. My words are inaccessible from the outside. Dude, that was not the point of my question at all. But okay. And much as I've tried to worm my arm out of this sleeve of iron, I would only succeed in dislocating my shoulder. If you ever think me frustrated or disagreeable, just imagine what I've dealt with since the third year of the conquest, or more accurately, what I haven't dealt with. How do you fare in water? Better to ask, how do I sink? The answer is quickly. Water passes my lips easily enough, though I take great care to keep it from anywhere else. Okay, other questions? Something else? Disfavored. We are the Iron Legion, the warrior elite of Kairos' fighting force. I could easily lose count of the hours extolling our glories. What is it you'd like to know? Any notable battles you fought in? I served in Stalwart for the better part of a year, faced the enemy everywhere from Coral Run to Sentinel Stand. I lost count of the battles. Seems like we fought every other day. A sigh echoes in the cavern of his helm. Some of our best victories took place there, fighting an enemy worthy of our iron, but we were not successful enough to please the Overlord, and the final intervention was harsh on us all. Barik takes in a deep breath, his arms folding as his posture stiffens. I had an unusual view of the Edict of Storms. Kairos' judgment left its mark on me. Yet, considering how we fought at Stalwart with the skill and honor of legend, only the Edict is remembered. A shame. What about Graven Ash? Graven Ash is a general of disfavored, veteran of centuries of battle, and an Archon without peer. I would follow him to the void and back without question. Barik swings his arm in salute. And how did he come to serve Kairos? Before the uniting of the Northern Empire, Graven Ash served as a warlord in the service of one of the local kings that defied Kairos' rule. Incredible as it may seem, Ash stood against Kairos' rule. Though his army was dismantled by Kairos' overwhelming numbers, Ash's forces performed admirably. It was said that he and his troops claimed 70 and 7 lives for each of their own. Kairos took an interest in the military genius that blooded his army. Graven Ash was summoned to a conclave of Archons, and though he was sent in chains, he left as an Archon, having been granted the position of power in Kairos' great host of war. Thus the disfavored were born. All of us today trace our line back to those warriors that impressed Kairos with their will and tenacity. The only difference is now we fight on the winning side. Though the general seldom speaks of it, I know that Ash humbled himself in order to spare his troops brunt of Kairos' punishment. His loyalty to the old blood of the North is beyond question. He made the right choice to save his troops, or he bent the knee. I'll go for saving troops. And he would make it again to save any of us. There has never been a more devoted and attentive leader. Barik makes a proud fist and steps to a salute with a forceful clatter of pots and pans. What else do you know of his past? I follow him into battle. I am not his personal scribe, and if I did know more of him, it would not be my place to say. Barik takes a half step back, folding his arms across his chest. As an Archon, what magic does he wield? Ash works his magic through us, his soldiers. When we do battle, Ash seems to know the events even before our runners have given word. Most importantly, though, he protects us. It's a bit tricky to explain unless you've experienced it. I'm guessing he uses like buffing magic? I can think of countless times I've been struck by a spear or hit with an axe, and even run through with an arrow, and in each of those moments the pain and injury just cease to be. None of us know how he does it, or how he can sense that we're in danger and intervene from afar, but I suppose that's why he's an Archon. What he does probably wouldn't make sense to someone like me. How do you feel about him? How do I feel about him? Archon Ash is the bravest, warmest, most compassionate general who ever lived. He's a living icon of leadership and courage. Barik tilts his head slightly to the side as far as the suit's limited range of motion permits. Ash is a soldier, but he doesn't kill for sport. A leader, but he doesn't issue commands to hear himself talk. He demands discipline and sober conduct of his troops, and I applaud such standards. Alright. What can you tell me of your time in the Legion? I joined the Legion 3 years before the conquest of the Thieves began. Though handy with a few weapons, my size made me the perfect addition to a phalanx. I've served with a stone shield ever since. Proud to say I've stood front row, right corner in over a dozen battles. That has been my place ever since the Iron Marshal gave me the assignment. The Bastard City, the Gates of Judgment, Vendrian Pass, Ocon's Ring, a quick tour in Bars and Chains, and then Stalwart. I spent a long time in Stalwart, lost a lot of friends there. What of the other disfavored lieutenants? They are Graven Ash's most trusted officers and warriors from the Iron Guard. Between Ash's arcane powers of command and his cadre of gifted leaders, there's little confusion or chaos in the ranks. Tell me of the one they call Iron Marshal. She takes it upon herself to train and harden our greener recruits. Not only that, she has a keen eye for talent and how to foster it for leadership. She is the youngest member of the Iron Guard. Her family line served as favored back before Ash bowed to Kairos. Say what you will of how many seasons she's weathered, her lineage is impressive beyond measure. What about Cairn's disciple, Radix? An Earthshaker who swore service to Cairn a few years before the conquest. Since Cairn is gone, the cult now follows Radix. Unlike his Archon, at least he knows how to follow orders. So who is this guy? As tall as the hills, Cairn is the Archon of Stone, master of earth and soil, destroyer of mountains and cities. Cairn is a reluctant leader of the Earthshaker Guild, though he is less their teacher and more their object of study. The massive Archon is sworn to Graven Ash and provides arcane support to the disfavored war effort. Okay. To his credit, Radix seems to appreciate the honor of fighting alongside the disfavored. Cairn was always peeved to be invited in the glory. The mages seem a necessary complication. They are insubordinate and can't lug their own supplies, but I would not want to go to war without their spells of tremor and leaping stones. What of the scout master, Merrick? Merrick is a devoted leader, and Ash seems to hold his council in high regard. Both set their troops ahead of themselves, which I'm sure is why they work so well together. He is no magician, but he does share a special connection to his warband, and they are entrusted with the most important scouting assignments. They say he can see what his scouts see and hear what they hear. And what about the veteran warrior, Varimas? He is the finest of us, second only to Ash. Varimas is an evocatus, a soldier who lived to see the end of his term of service. It's rare for everyone to survive that long, much less willingly return. These days he lends his tactical expertise to Raven Ash, though by all rights he should be enjoying his twilight years in a seat of honor and dignity. Okay, so a lot of people to know. Why didn't the Legion prevent the uprising of Endrian's Well? I think that's a question you ought to ask the Scarlet Chorus. They too were charged with ensuring the locals remained vanquished and unarmed. Barik lunges forward as he speaks, iron plates grinding under his motion. This favored Kairos' elite. The duty was theirs to fail. If the Chorus had conscripted more aggressively, perhaps there would not have been an uprising. Wait, what? I would say the Guard are really the only guilty party. It was their rebellion after all. So we're putting the blame on the Chorus, I guess. Sure. Agreed. We have never relied upon the Scarlet Chorus to win victories, only to recruit in number and secure our holdings. They were asleep on the watch. The Vendrian Guard should have been slaves of the Chorus, not free men and women allowed to plot and conspire. What more can you tell me? The disfavored accept only the finest warriors. We are all volunteers and soldiers by trade, not farmers and fishmongers pressed into service. There is a century of tradition, honor, and tactical mastery in our ranks. We don't let just anyone into the Legion. Only Northmen of character and prowess are welcome. What if a capable Tearsman wishes to join? We would not recruit even a champion of the Tearsman. Each soldier in the Legion is tied by blood and fealty to those that stood with Raven Ash during the coming of Kairos. That is part of who we are, and that will never change. So why is the Legion called disfavored? It is a name born in shame, now worn in honor. After Raven Ash stood up against Kairos, he was forced to give up much. His allegiance, his pride, and the name of his vaunted army. What was the Legion originally called? The name has been forgotten by all save Ash and Kairos, and it is considered bad form to bring up the topic. Since you didn't know any better, I'll say this much. Disfavored is the only name by which one needs to know us. Okay. Scarlet Chorus. Our allies do not share this favored sense of honor and discipline. The Chorus will trust any criminal, rapist, or halfwit with a truncheon or blade. What would you like to know about Scarlet Chorus? What do you know of the Voices of Nerat? The Archon of Secrets? All I know are rumors, hearsay, speculation, but that's as much as anyone knows of the Voices. Some accounts tell that he's actually dead. And the Overlord has trapped the minds of his foes in the same body to torture them all. Ah, interesting. As likely an explanation as any I've heard. In truth, I know little of the Voices, and have reason to suspect almost anything about him could be true. You could tell me his tears turned cheese back into milk, and it would seem more sensible to believe you than not. Do you know anything about his powers? I am no scholar of sorcery, but as I understand it, the Voices of Nerat is a thief of minds. They say he can swipe your thoughts and make them his own. I don't know how it works. When I recruited into the disfavor, the Iron Marshal told me never to take an audience with the Voices if I didn't have a witness on hand. Do you think him disloyal? I really shouldn't comment on such matters. Barik looks ahead blankly and then clears his throat. I heard his tears can turn cheese into milk. Sure. That's very amusing, Fatebinder. What do you know of his associate, the Archon Sirin? Sirin is the Archon of Song, and one of the youngest of her rank. She can influence human emotion with her voice alone. The Voices may be the conductor of the Chorus, but I'd argue Sirin is their best weapon. The Voices put her talent to good use. He had her singing a song up and down the coast, and the Tearsmen defected the Chorus in droves. What can you tell me of their troops and tactics? Tactics? These are the first I've heard of them. The Chorus is more of an irregular mob than a proper army. Still, it's a well-armed mob, and they even have a few proper warriors and magicians in their pitiful excuse for ranks. What do you know of their warriors? Most Chorus rats are untrained peasants handed a knife or a pitchfork. It doesn't take much to qualify you for the front lines. One only needs a beating heart, and even then the Chorus could make do. Of course, not everyone in the Chorus is an infirm child or sickly old crone. Some ex-soldiers and madmen join, and the fighting elite of the Chorus form a clique known as the Scarlet Furies. Yeah, verse. Barik is too dismissive by far, but he's right that most recruits are novices pressed into service. Most will not survive the first few battles. Those who live will have experience to lead, and those who fall can easily be replaced. What sort of magic does the chorus use? The blood chanters are the mages who follow the voices of Nerat. Like the chorus itself, their order is not steeped in tradition and antiquity, rather built on knowledge stolen from other guilds. Their fire magic earns them a place on the battlefield, but they also have chants that stir the mind and the heart. The motherless swords have spells that can bolster a man's courage or tap into his fears. If the chorus is a mob, how is it led and supplied? The voices of Nerat gives order to his elite commanders, who in turn send instructions out to the gang captains. But beneath that hierarchy, it is chaos. Whole gangs will break from the larger forces and disperse back into their homelands. The chorus is inefficient beyond words, and yet more bodies keep coming in to replace those lost in the mess. Inefficient? Every weakling lost in the shuffle is one less burden to those in the choir still dancing to the song of battle. Our ways must be harsh, otherwise the stupid and the soft will inherit the chant. The chorus has a lot of mouths to feed, so the conscripts that can't or won't fight are made to gather food and water. Else, I'm told, they're fed to the pigs, becoming food and water in a sense. Barik shrugs. A fine contrast to the honor, efficiency and decency of the disfavored. The Legion demands courage and tenacity, but provides us with good iron, and does not leave its soldiers to forage like vultures. And how do you think Scarlet Chorus convinced so many Tearsmen to join? It began with Sirin. She had a song that got whole villages marching to her will, and once those peasants killed their neighbors and cousins in service of the voices, it either hardened them into warriors or broke their mind into servitude. Lots of criminals and drifters joined the choruses too. It seemed like the scum of the Tears just need to promise the promise of glory and sanctioned debauchery to turn on their neighbors. It's not pretty, it shouldn't be. The chorus is a forge. All the dirt of the Tears goes in, and the finest bits are refined into weapons. There are many that join the Scarlet Chorus because they wish to join the winning side. It's a shame that such patriots were not born to proper northern stock, too weak or too slight to be disfavored. The Scarlet Chorus is their best freedom form fealty to the young realms. Not everyone has the fortune of gaining Tunon's favor. Better than the Tearsmen serve Kairos in some capacity than have them rot in mass graves. The disfavor turn away all people of the Tears, that seems selective to the point of foolishness. I kind of agree with that. The Tearsman would only be a weak link in the disfavored shield wall. I'll keep going for loyalty here. Yes, the North is our shared link, our consistency. How could I trust a woman or man to hold the shield wall if I don't understand their customs? Okay, enough about Scarlet Chorus.
Good. Let's move on to another matter.
What can you tell me of the Tears? Uphill both ways and full of dumb sods. I learned some history and training and I've been here for a few years, but I'm no expert. What is your assessment of the local forces? There was a time early in the war when I would have feared the younger realms working together. Imagine that, he chuckles. Once I saw the modest scope of their defensive, I knew they would be easily outclassed. They couldn't even rally their best to make a competent stand. Tell me of the Vendrian Guard. They used to be the Queen's Royal Army of Vendrian. I guess defeat inclined them to a shorter name. We crushed them back in 429. I'm proud to say I took part in the decisive battle. You know the rest. A year after we thought them conquered, thousands of Vendrian Oathbreakers murdered the garrison and declared themselves free of the Overlord's rule. Tell me about the Unbroken. What is this? The Legion was the proud and accomplished army of the realm of Stalwart. Citing their victories as evidence of skill, they prided themselves of never facing defeat while fighting it on home soil. After the Edict of Storms tore apart Stalwart and twisted it into the Blade Grave, barely a 20th of the Unbroken's former strength survived to continue the war against Kairos' force. The Unbroken Union of Stalwart, may they rot in the decrepitude of their fallen realm. Barik squeezes his gauntlet into the hard fist. Much as it pains me to admit it, in all the realms of the Tears, the Unbroken have been the only foe worthy to meet the disfavored in battle. The Unbroken value tradition, just as we do. Stalwart has never lost a war on their own soil, a reputation they take quite seriously. It is fortunate that Stalwart has poor relations with all its neighbors. The rest of the Tears will not come to their aid, so as bravely as they fight, their end is inevitable. What can you tell me of the Bronze Brotherhood? Mercenaries from the free cities. The chorus needed extra muscle and you can always mint new rings. Hard to believe the Tearsmen turned on each other for mere loops of metal. The Bronze Brotherhood worshipped the Scourges. Yes, those monsters from the old walls. The mercenaries are grown adults that willingly admire a magical abomination. Read into that what you will. That said, it should surprise no one that the Bronze Brotherhood eventually wanted more than just rings and turned on their contract. Kairos now considers them an enemy, which is for the best. The Overlord needs a better class of combatants.
Go on, Fatebinder.
What do you know of the Younger Realms? Before we marched on the Bastard City, I recall Graven Ash giving us a speech as we stood assembled at Fort Resolution. He told us that the Younger Realms lacked the sense to make a stand against us. I don't think I need to point out that the average Tearsman is just plainly inferior to the sons and daughters of the North. For every one of ours they kill, we must drag a score and a half bleeding into the soil with us. It didn't help that they were afraid of magic, and relied on their battlefield prowess to stage defense. What about the Beastmen? They drilled us on Beastmen combat before the invasion, but it did little to prepare us. The local savages are lacking in brains, hygiene, and the ability to arm themselves, yet the prime hunters of their species are formidable. Aside from being rapacious killers, the Beastmen make good haulers and laborers once you've killed the half that won't follow orders. Okay. You seem like a more than capable fighter. I trained with the spear and shield in my youth, but gave it up the day I earned disfavored iron. I can still throw with some accuracy, but it's a challenge these days. He knocks twice on his helmet. Why? Were you interested in the sparring session? Okay, so I guess we can learn about spears. Or we can learn about sword fighting. I'm gonna say perhaps later for now. What about immediate concerns? What is it you have on your mind? What do you think of our circumstances? The edict left little room for confusion. A representative of the Overlord must preach Ascension Hall before Kairos' Day of Swords, and must assume death is the price of failure. We should assist the disfavored in their siege preparations, as only the Legion should take the well-fortified citadel. I wouldn't wager a wooden ring on the Scarlet Chorus impressing anyone but the vultures. What are your thoughts on me and my deeds? Any reservations I have aside, the military record speaks for itself. You are Tunon's Fatebinder, and my opinions on the matter don't come into it one way or another. What do you think of verse? I am more accustomed to traveling in the company of soldiers, so I am out of practice judging the worth of civilians and miscreants. If you had anyone particular in mind, I will give them some thought. Verse. I try not to. She is a force of chaos, an agent of the voices of Nerat. Taking her into our confidence can only lead to ruin. And yet, she is a capable fighter. For the time being, I am confident that you can trust her to serve your interests and rely on her skills on the battlefield. She may even offer some useful perspective on the war. Okay, well, there is definitely a lot of dialogue on every single available companion. We are through with Barik and Verse. I want to check how we stand with him right now. Ooh. Very high. And we're about to receive fear as well from Verse. That's very nice. Yeah, so it's worth going to these conversations, if anything, just for this. Huh? What is this? Okay, sorry. I'll check this out on the next one, because it's going to be a bit long already this episode. As always, my friends, I'm going to end the episode here. I might go back, not on video, it would just be boring. I might just go back on the save game before I left the camp to maybe learn some skills, potentially on Verse or on Barik. Or I can just walk back, I guess. I'll see on the next episode. But yeah. For now, my friends, thank you so much for being here with me on the channel, watching some Tyranny. I hope you guys are enjoying it. A lot of dialogue thus far, not a lot of action, but hopefully that will also change soon, because I'm also eager to see some more combat. As always, any questions, suggestions, anything at all, leave a comment below. If you are enjoying the content, consider subscribing for more. Many more videos coming out soon. It is also a free and easy way to support the channel. I hope to see you all in the next episode, and until then, stay safe, everyone.